Good evening and welcome back once again to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. My name is Ross Brierley and it is St Ledger Day. Well, tomorrow it is anyway. It might be today. You might be watching it pre-recorded, of course. But we are live and interactive and we're going to be getting stuck into the final classic of the season. And it is a proper St Ledger as well. All the right horses that have turned up, all the trial winners coming to defend their crowns from those races and take the big race on Town Moor tomorrow afternoon. We've got potentially pacemakers galore as well, so it shouldn't be a tactical race. In theory, it's mouth-watering and hopefully it will live up to the hype. And hopefully, between the guests in the studio and at home, we'll pick out the winner, maybe even the TriCast, I don't know, let's get greedy, why not? Like I said, it is live and interactive, so if you are watching at home, make sure you like the stream and get involved on the chat box is right in front of me now, and it might not be the best punting card in the world tomorrow at Doncaster, but we might well see some nice horses. A short price favourite in the Champagne Stakes with form franked already, and a couple of nice types, including a really hot mile handicap to close off tomorrow's card as well, and a fascinating maiden again. It might not be the easiest one to pick out winners, but we might find some future clues, that's for sure. But yeah, like I said, get involved in the chat. Good evening to everyone who's already watching at home, in particular Cheese, who's come on straight off the bat. Desert Hero wins the Ledger in capital letters. Who could possibly disagree with Cheese? Well, depends if you're lactose intolerant, I guess. But anyway, let's get stuck into Doncaster for tomorrow. What a treat we've got for you in the studio as well, making her debut on In the Know. The only MP I would ever trust, it is, of course, Maddy Playle. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Ross. I'm not sure that that's accurate. I agree with Cheese, though. I mean, we might as well stop the show here.
That's it.
Just end.
It's yeah, I mean, it's a good job Robbie's not on, because he wouldn't agree with Cheese, being a steadfast vegan himself.
Yes, yeah, quite.
But yeah, so you've let the cat out of the bag already, though. You're a Desert Hero fan.
I am, yeah. Thought a lot of him as a 2-year-old when he went at Haydock as a juvenile. He looked really special, didn't he? Took a while to come to hand. Was a little bit disappointing when he ran in that London Gold Cup earlier on in the season. I thought he'd win that.
What a race that's turned out to be, though.
Yeah, very good race. Always is, isn't it? But just really like the way he's come through all his trials. Did exceptionally well to win at Royal Ascot and Goodwood, I think. On that soft ground, to be blocked in his run repeatedly. I'm giving my case away now.
I was going to say, that's it. Thanks, Maddy. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you for the next show. Good night. No, it's a great case. I'm with you. I'm with you, with Maddy and Cheese. For the evening. Jabok 23, Duncan Evans, Doghouse Riley, Leonardo, get all your selections in on the chat box. Tom Segal watching from home. The St Ledger, the final classic of the year, Tom. About, what, 1 mile, 1 furlong further than your specialist subject, though, of course. But we've got a big sprint handicap for you, mate.
Oh, no. Have we?
Of course we have. We've got the Portland, mate. You know, you've got the winner.
Anyway, Ross, may I say, I thought you looked a little bit dishevelled at York, but that trim and the beard's back, looking very good, looking very smart for the St Ledger.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate it. I thought, well, I'm a Yorkshire man, aren't I? So I've got to make an effort for the Ledger.
Bit of a boring shirt, though. What's happened there?
Is it?
It's quite wintry, I'd say.
Yeah?
Looks quite warm, that.
Well, I don't think anyone's ever said boring about the shirts I wear on. I think there's plenty of other insulting things said about the shirts, but
that one in particular, it's just a little bit. You know, we like the old the flowery jobs.
All right, okay, I'll step it up a gear next time out, mate. But I thought a pink cargo shirt with double-breasted pockets was a bit interesting, but apparently not.
It was a bit out there. No, Maddy and I are not that impressed, unfortunately.
No, and of course you both have similar approaches to sartorial elegance. Sorry, Maddy, that's not true.
Yeah, that's a bit uncalled for.
Yeah, I apologise.
No offence, Tom.
It's fine. We've had 2 days of Donny already, Mr. Segal. What have you made of it? You were in good form, yeah? We
like Donny. Yeah, we like Donny. Nice flat track, nice straight track, no mucking about, no Goodwoods, no dodgy sand tracks like York. Always like Donny. I think it's one of the fairest and best tracks in the country.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Jablock23 says, wasn't Tom supposed to be in the studio if we like the programme? It's not for this week, it's for Champions Day, Jablock23. We're gonna keep that anticipation building and hope that Tom...
Jabba, keep it to yourself. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. We honestly smashed all records, Tom, during York, so...
Never doing that again.
No. You don't know. You might look. It's like olives. You know, when you had your first one, you were probably like, what's this? I'm not sure about it, but you might come into the studio and start to get into the swing of it.
You do that impression again. That was really good.
Blah, blah. It's like that, isn't it? You know, like
that.
Yeah. You might enjoy yourself. You might come in and have a great time. Who knows?
I hope
Bit of cheese, bit of olives. What's not to like?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, half a pint, maybe a small black coffee afterwards. You know, you acquire tastes as you get older, Tom. You'll learn.
Thank you, Ross. I will be in, and I will see you in October.
Yes, you will indeed. David Stevens is joining us from tonight, and he's beaming in directly from the 1970s. Good evening to you, David.
Is that the curtain or the shirt?
It's both, mate.
Both.
If I've got a boring shirt on, you have more than made up for it. It's like a magic eye.
I packed in a hurry this morning, shall we just say that? Left home in a hurry. Yes, I'm phoning, dialing in, whatever I'm doing from the Doncaster area. The most surreal opening to an In the Know we've ever done. Yeah. From cheese to olive to, what did you say you're wearing? A pink shirt with double cargo pockets. Is that how you described it?
Yeah, I guess. I think so, yeah. I don't know. I'm ready for fashionable warfare. What could I say?
Magnificent description. Anyway, I feel like I should bring it back to the horses.
Do it.
We have a price boost. Spycatcher, which we'll talk about, is 15 to 8 from 6 to 4 up to 20 quid for the duration of this live show. But just want to go back to cheese there. And his St Ledger selection, obviously Desert Hero. No great surprise. A lot of talk at Doncaster today about the horse owned by the King and Queen, of course, bred by the late Queen. It was a year ago at this meeting she passed away. It would be the story, no question. Even I think it would eclipse Frankie if he were to win it. But everyone has kept saying to me, who's going to start favourite? Who's going to start favourite? Genuinely, at this stage, no idea. As we bet right now, 3-1 Continuous, 7-2 Arrest, 9-2 Gregory, 11-2 Desert Hero. I think any one of those four could start favourite, depending on how it goes tomorrow. But yeah, fascinating St Ledger in store. And just back today, Tom's in a good mood, loves Doncaster, but let's give him credit. Dancing Gemini today, Tom. Very good selection. Looked really good. And the Coral compilers were impressed because we're only 25-1 for next year's 2,000 guineas. But he's been somewhat, I think, overlooked perhaps in other quarters. If he was trained by a bigger name, I don't think he'd be the sort of price he is for some future targets this year, Tom. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, we've been on about this, or I have been banging on about it for some time now, about how lacking in juveniles Britain is at the moment. Ireland's got loads. France has got a good few. We've got about 3. Van Dijk, Rosalian, who we see tomorrow. And I think you can now put Dancing Gemini in that bracket, because I thought he was really impressive today. The figures told you that he was good from Newbury anyway. I mean, they had 3 races over 7 furlongs that day at Newbury, and he ran the last 3 furlongs faster than every single horse in there, bar Witch Hunter, who won the Group 3 Hungerford Stakes. I mean, he was faster than Chindit. He was faster than proper horses that day. So we knew he was good. I don't think we quite knew he was as good as he was going to look today. That's for sure. So, yeah, I think the angle is probably the futurity at Doncaster later in the season rather than the Guineas, because that will be, I think he probably needs a bit of give in the ground to be at his best. But he's clearly a very good horse.
I thought he was a big price, Tom. I think several bookies went 20s, maybe even bigger for the futurity. I mean, it's a tough race and it's a long way away, but conditions are really going to suit him. He looks like he's a strong stayer. He's got very strong staying pedigree. I don't think he's the worst anti-post bet in the world.
Yeah, no, 20-1's perfectly reasonable for that race because there'll only be 5 or 6 turn up. My slight reservation about him is that he's by Camelot, and I'm not a massive fan of horses by Camelot. I don't think they go on. I think they can be a bit in and out.
Yeah,
but
they're quirky, aren't they?
Yeah, he's put 3 good runs together. He had 1 bad run at Ascot. I think we can all forgive horses' bad runs at Ascot. They get racing too far too soon, and horses can get beaten long ways there. So. I'm with you. I think he's a really good horse on what he showed today. He's right up there with the best of the British. I think they're still probably quite a way behind your City of Troyes and the likes from Ireland, but he's good. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and big shout out to Roger Teal as well, who not only had Dancing Gemini bolt up, but once raced Rosario, ran an absolute blinder, finishing third in the Flying Childers. So Truchamp back to his best today as well. It was pretty impressive stuff at Donny. We'll be getting stuck into Saturday's card very shortly indeed. But first, here's a little promo.
Are you ready to take your passion for horse racing to the next level? With Racing Post Members Club, you gain exclusive access to the best racing insights, analysis and tools. Immerse yourself in award-winning content, from interviews with the sport's biggest stars to race previews and behind-the-scenes features. Get the inside track with early access to the Racing Post digital newspaper from 9 p.m. in the evening and daily selections from our expert tipsters. Racing Post Members Club is your ultimate ticket to the thrilling world of racing. Subscribe today and pay just £9.99 per month for the first 2 months with the code SUMMER. See the link in the video description for more information. Terms apply.
Yeah, get involved on that offer then as summer pretty much comes to a close. With Doncaster tomorrow then, starting off with the Champagne Stakes, a Group 2 for the juveniles over 7 furlongs, and a chance potentially, after Dancing Gemini today, to get another very talented British 2-year-old into the mix for potentially a classic next year. Rosallion 2-5, Iberian 7-2, Mountain Bear 12-1, Sunway is 14-1, Power Mode at 40-1. As with 2-year-old races, I'll come to you first, Mr. Tom Segal. You were in winning form today. That said, I mean, it's given a right old boost to Rosallion's form, hasn't it? Dancing Gemini bolting up. But we don't often get many runners in the Champagne Stakes. But last few years, we have had a few surprises. You do often get a horse that people think, this is a certainty, and something goes on to improve past it. Is there a potential for Rosallion being the latest in a beaten favourites in the Champagne?
Personally, I don't think so, but I think Iberian is a very good horse. I think he's got potential. I think the form of his Goodwood run isn't great, because we all know that Hartem is a long way behind Rosallion at Richard Hannon's, but I think he's better than he showed that day. But look, I want Rosallion to win, and I want him to win him well, because I think we're desperate. I mean, I said earlier that there was only 3 good ones. Of course, I was talking about 7 furlong horses. Really, I don't count sprinters; they're not real. They're not real horses in my book. So Rosallion, it's been the Ascot forms well. You know, not only Dancing Gemini, but you got Al Mushmak or whatever it was called that won the listed or Group 3 race at Haydock last week as well. So he was second to Rosallion at Ascot. The form is red hot. The time's very good. It'll be disappointing if he doesn't win, but it's a very different track. I know it's straight 7 furlongs, but it's a very different surface, let's put it like that, at Doncaster to Ascot.
Very different going as well that he will have experienced.
Much softer ground. But Blue Points seem to be going on soft ground. We saw that with Big Evs today. So we know he stays 7 furlongs. We know it stays it well. I will be really, really disappointed if he loses, because I think we need him to be a good horse. Yeah,
I'm inclined to agree. Yeah, I mean, the Iberian, that Goodwood form isn't particularly great, Maddy. However, he was green, he was completely clueless. I think with a bit more of experience, he might have gone and won that by a length. And then you're thinking, he's not been beaten by Hartem. He's won a group race on only his second start. So there is a bit of promise there.
Yeah, I think it depends on whichever way you want to read it, really, doesn't it? Hartem's obviously let the form down since. He's shaped well. That's the way I put it. He's shaped like one of the best horses in the race, Iberian, and I'd expect him to therefore come on for it. But I'd be very surprised, like Tom. It's not the most inspiring betting contest to get into. But Rosallion, I mean, we should mention, given that Tom's a lover of pedigrees, that this horse, Dame Rosaline, Grand Dame Ream 3, who of course is responsible for that brilliant Shaker Bade family with Triple Time, Ostilio, Ajman Princess, Cape Byron, Third Realm, Captain Winters. Got to be one of the best broodmares active at the moment. So Rosallion comes from that family. Interestingly, that he is by Blue Point, who's a first season sire who's had an exceptional go of things, but it wasn't like he didn't train on. He was a sprinter, and he continued to raise his profile throughout his career, but it doesn't scream stamina at you. So what's he going to do forward from this next year? We've seen
Well,
today.
he's going to win Tom's favourite race, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got.
Well-
It's a proper. All the Dams family all have got really good Ascot form as well. So it's
There you go.
tailor made for him. Tom.
But this is already over 7. The one thing I would say is if you are wanting to get involved with something else here, then I would consider Sunway, who had a huge reputation prior to finishing behind Rosalien in that Pat Edery Stakes. And we've already seen how horses can come out of that race and win. We saw it today with Dancing Gemini. Just cut out. Apparently, Ishi Murphy was at a loss to explain what happened, but got a tongue tie applied tomorrow, and on pedigree should really like the ground, even if it does quicken up a little bit. Great pedigree. Speaking of them, and I just think it's a little
another
bit.
one is better to win a back end heavy ground champion
Yeah.
stakes in 3 years or something.
Exactly. Well, maybe that's what you want for this race tomorrow. I don't
Yeah.
know. You know, you're
Given the
going to have to
conditions,
get.
that's possible, isn't
You're
it?
going to have to get stuck in. Like, it is going to dry out, but if we're talking about pure talent and prices, then at 14-1, maybe you stick him in a forecast, maybe you play him without the favourite, whatever. But a lot of respect for Iberian. Rosalien's obviously got the best claims, but Sunway I think is definitely interesting. Too early to write him off anyway for trainer who's doing pretty well with his juveniles. Had a horse run well in the Solario a couple of weeks ago as well.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, and especially with 2-year-olds, people are very quick to label superstars or this horse isn't as good as we thought. But yeah, Sunway. I mean, an RPR of 88 on debut was a better debut performance than Rosalien. So if Rosalien can take a step forward, then Sunway can take a step forward as well. But I think a lot of people will be looking at 2-5 and moving on tomorrow, David, unless you can tempt us in with any distance bets or anything like that.
Well, we've got a distance bet, whether it's a tempter or not, we will find out. But yeah, Rosalien to win this opener by over 2 lengths is 2-1 from 13-8. Agree with everything that's been said. Rosalien, the most likely winner, obviously. Let's hope he does. We need these star 2-year-olds. But I'm going to go even more left field than Maddy for my forecast selection. I'm going to go for 40-1 shot Power Mode, whose has form on soft ground, was 4th in a Group 3 in France on soft ground. Ran at York last time in the Gym Crack. That was good to firm. A bit like Tom with Ascot. I'm always happy to forgive a horse a run at York. So I'm going to go for Power Mode as the one to chase the favourite home.
Okay, there you go. Opinions flying about left, right and centre. Then for the Champagne Stakes tomorrow, the first race of the day. 2-1 from 13-8, Rosalien to win by over 2 lengths. And like I said, we've already seen not only him win by 4 lengths, but Dancing Gemini win by a decent distance today as well. Moving on then to the Portland, a Heritage Handicap over 5.5 furlongs, which that last half a furlong can feel like an absolute eternity in this race as well. 22 of them going to post. And Call Me Ginger, previous winner, is coming back for another crack for the Inform Jim Goldie, an Inform horse as well. It's not a bad little plan, this, is it? They managed to get in for a half-decent weight to try and win the race again off the back of 2 wins. 10-1 Chipstead, Kings Lynn 11s, Happy Romance 11s, Kim and Grace 12s, Mackinac 12s, T-Spirit 12s, Get It 14-1, bigger price as the rest. Maddy, if Paul Keeley was in your seat right now, he'd be all over this race. Tom's going to disparage it, but pick the winner in only 20 seconds worth of previews. So where do you stand when it comes to Pigfield Sprint Handicaps?
Yeah, they're not my favourite to get stuck into because they are so challenging. This one, there's lots to go off, isn't there? I mean, if you take into consideration jockey claims and everything from last year, Call Me Ginger, I think, is £11 better off with Chipstead. Obviously got that race in the Steward's Room last year, so her claims are just really obvious at this point. I looked at this race on Monday before filing my Weekender copy, and I didn't think there was a super young, up-and-coming, progressive, exciting horse in the race, which kind of makes me want to lean towards the top of the weights, because you know that they have the established class. And the one that I was drawn to on her very first handicap start was Happy Romance. Always runs well out in Dubai, was 6th in the Al Quoz earlier this year, then won a listed Lansdowne Stakes. Since then, she's been beaten in the Temple Stakes, where she was 6th then on the wrong part of the track. You remember, dramatised one of that Golden Highway, and then 14th in the King's Stand. She was blatantly outclassed there, but as I say, this is her first start in handicap company off a mark of 102, plus Alex Verhansky's £5 claim. If you look at horses like Equilateral, he was winning off 105 at York with no claim. I think they're quite closely matched, these two. They're very similar types. And I definitely think it's worth a go from the Richard Hannon team to drop her into this company. I don't think she's been badly treated by the handicapper at all. She should really like the pace setup as well, and should be staying on strongly at the end. I think 8 of the last 10 winners have all had double-figure draws. The last 2 have been much lower. She's in 6, I think. But yeah, I just thought she was an interesting one. She caught my eye. Whenever you see these class droppers contesting lower grade races, it's always worth giving them a look, and she's going to get plenty of weight from the likes of Kings Lynn, who I think's got a pretty good chance as well. So she was the one I landed on. Also think the old boy Dakota Gold could run all right if he's in the mood. He's a very big price, but
Doncaster soft ground, I mean, it's a dream come true for him, isn't it?
He's getting down to a competitive mark now, and I think there's still mileage in him, despite his advancing years, and you can never write off Michael Dodds, and he's in 20. So usually I like to be highly drawn in these big sprint handicaps, and he fits the bill on that front. But from a purely race analyst perspective, Happy Romance has got plenty in her favour, I think.
Yeah, she wasn't necessarily on my radar for this, but actually, the more you talk about it, I mean, like I said, you look at that Temple Stakes, obviously dramatised, but living the dream back in third. But also, what's quite interesting,
you can upgrade that for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the interesting thing is Equilateral dropped back to Handicap Company and won. Back down in 10th was Russell, who dropped back to Handicap Company at Haydock last week and won. Equality was way down the field. Obviously, he's run a blinder since in Ireland. So yeah, actually, that's not a bad angle.
Yeah, I mean, she's not a huge price, although I think she is probably drifting a little bit. She was 12 to 1, I'm seeing 14 to 1 now. But if you look at that Bath win, there's good horses that finish behind her, the likes of Perdika, Get Ahead, who of course ran an absolute blinder. Designer there has been among the winners. White Lavender, Nymphadora are good fillies. So
all her form has worked out this year. So yeah. 14 to 1. Yeah, okay. Happy Romans. Alec Baganski's in good form as well. He's been riding with confidence. But and Happy Romans feels like she's been around forever, but she's only a 5-year-old for the Richard Hannon team. I know I probably shouldn't be betting in a race like this. The moment I think, you know what, Kings Lynn's got a chance, Tom.
He has, though.
He genuinely has, though. His record on soft ground is second, third, second, first, second. His record at Donny, outside of heavy ground, is first, second, second, first. This is the perfect race for Kings Lynn, and it's been a long time since anyone said that, because he's running pretty much everything you could run him in, Tom. But never mind that. You're going to give us the winner, so let's start the clock.
I'll take your word for it on Kings Lynn. I have no idea what you're talking about. It's all double Dutch to me, this stuff. I thought last year's winner, Chipstead, and I'm calling him the winner because it was one of the most ridiculous disqualifications I've ever seen, might win again, simply because he was in the wrong side last year. He was in the wrong group. He raced on his own up the near side. Well, not in his group up the near side. All the first 6 home, all the next horses were drawn on the far side. He won. He was by far the best horse in the race. He then went to Catterick and was even more impressive. Roger Teal's in great form. Don't know if Saul One's any good, but what I do know is he likes Doncaster and he likes soft ground and he's running into form. So he'll do for me, Chipstead.
There you go, lovely stuff. Chipstead it is then. The Tom Segal approach. Let's just narrow it down to 1. Easy does it. David Stephens, the Portland again. Anything to tempt us in? 12 places? 13 places? What have we got? A horse to get it in the steward's room? I still want you to bring in... We need to get this consolation, as if your horse wins the race on one side and gets beaten by one on the other, you get your money back. They'll love it, I tell you.
I will put that to the powers that be. It's let me just make a note of that on these curtains behind me that are making me dizzy as I look at my own... Chipstead wins because Tom, he's just done what he always does, doesn't he? Absolutely dismissive of the race and then makes such a good case for it. For what it's worth, I like Badri, one of Julie Camacho's 3 in the race. Did really well for Ruth Carr, was then switched. Did lose his way slightly for her. Finished second in a racing league up at Newcastle. But he's back on turf here and around, I think, 11, 12, 14 to 1 maybe. Badri with 5 places each way. I mentioned Julie Camacho there. She is the subject of our, especially in this race, because she has 3 running, and it is 8 to 1 from 13 to 2 that Julie Camacho wins this Portland. But unfortunately, Tom hasn't tipped one of her runners, so she can't win it.
No, someone should tell her. Withdraw them immediately. Rateo ran quite well at Donny today. So, 2 selections in the Portland, Maddy?
Happy Romance, Savour on Dakota Gold, but no hugely strong opinion. Should be a good race, though.
Yeah, okay. And I'll go with Kings Lynn, which is a sentence I don't think I've ever said before. Tom?
Chipstead for me.
Chipstead it is. And David?
Badri for me, with the saver now on Chipstead.
Okay, lovely stuff. Adamant has got in touch. Nice. Intrinsic Bond, huge chance there's a bit of juice in the ground. And Jonathan Sherritt says, I think Call Me Ginger wins this, £11 better off with Chipstead and significantly for the forecasts.
We're talking about juice in the ground. Is it not going to dry out quite a bit? Like I think there'll still be a little bit in it, but I don't think they're due any more rain, are they?
Let's have a look. What have we got? I don't think so. But it's I am a South Yorkshire boy, and it's going to be a bit gloomy. It's just going to be a bit gloomy. It's not going to be warm, that's for sure.
Okay.
It's not. I can assure you that when I left the house this morning in Leeds, I had to check. I always have to check the London forecast, and it's always about 10 degrees warmer.
Is that why you're wearing the cargo shirt?
That's why I'm wearing the cargo, because I'm prepared for anything. Yeah. So apart from this, apparently.
I have to jump in and defend South Yorkshire. It was absolutely glorious there today. I mean, genuinely scorching hot. So, yeah, just putting it out there.
Yeah, fair enough. I apologise, but it's you can't. Again, I'm from South Yorkshire, so I can't get too excited about anything. The 3 o'clock at Doncaster then. The Park Stakes is up next. Spycatcher, 6-4 favourite for this. Audience 100-30. Sondrine 4-1. Biggles 4-1. Jumbie 12-1. Pogo at 12-1. Most of the usual suspects over 7 furlongs, of course, minus the best in the business in the shape of Kinross. So it's almost the without Kinross marquee in this division. But 6-4 favourite is Spycatcher, who was well backed at Deauville last time out, Tom, as you well know, because you put him up in the paper. You were very keen on him, and I mean, just how did he get beat? I mean, it looked like I thought he was going to win, and this is a weaker race, isn't it?
Don't know. It wasn't a great race, was it? I know it was a Group 1, but the winner was a 6-year-old, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. And the third horse was the Wokingham winner. What's that called?
St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
St. Lawrence. That finished tailed off the other day, didn't it? So, not convinced it was a brilliant race. I still think he's probably the one to beat here, because if you go back, he's got some very good form, hasn't he? Duke of York, second to Highfield Princess and stuff like that. So he's got some very good form, but I'm not convinced he's a good thing here. I think like Sir Sandrines and all of them. Well, I don't know. Pogo's doesn't seem in very good form, but they've all got bits and pieces of form that give them a shot with him. He's not miles ahead on the figures, I don't think. Spycatcher. I think the price boost is a little bit tempting, actually, because 15-8 seems a pretty decent price to me. But I don't know. I'd probably sit this one out. Earlier in the week I quite liked Biggles, but I think that's plenty short enough now. I thought Sandrine might won well. I thought if you strip out her French form, I don't think she likes running in France very much. She ran in that race, and go back to her just her general form. I think she might be as good as Spycatcher, and she won't mind any given the ground, as we saw when she won at Royal Ascot. So if I had to choose, it might be Sandrine, but it's not a race I'm got any great strong opinion on.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to get stuck into this race, Maddy, but again, I was trying to think. There's barely any soft ground form outside the favourite. It might be a tactical affair as well. Are we thinking Spycatcher is going to be prominent on the heels of Pogo, and that's how it's going to be?
Potentially,
unfolding?
Yeah. It's a funny race from a market perspective because it's developed quite a lot since we got the declarations, etc. And also from a price perspective, Spycatcher, though, I'm tempted by the price boost. I think 15-8 with Coral's a very good price. He's just looked a better horse this year, hasn't he? And I know that form probably wasn't red hot in France, but it was still a Group 1. And I don't think St. Lawrence is a bad horse. Don't think that the Sprint Cup would have suited him. He's very in and out,
but he's got talent.
I don't think the Sprint Cup would have suited him.
I mean, to be fair, apart from Kinross, 115, 116, 118 RPR. So even Spycatcher's last two, if he runs to that level, he is the standard set, and it's good enough to win this race normally. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, officially rated 110, which actually gives him a bit to find. And on the ratings, you'd probably say Jumbie is the one who's overpriced. But there's not a lot between them, is there? I can see why Tom's getting charmed a little bit by Biggles, because when he won the Bunbury Cup, you looked at him and you thought, yes, this is a horse who can take advantage of a bit of a muddling division over 7 furlongs when Kinross isn't about. But I think keep it simple. I'm doing a Tom Segal. I think Spycatcher is the one to beat.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, to be fair to Biggles, I thought he had an absolute blinding chance last time at an international, but First, what was it? 5 home. We're drawn 18, 19, 20, 24 and 26, and Biggles had absolutely no chance in 6.
He was really keen as well, wasn't he? He's not normally like that. It was a massive put-off for me, because horses that get keen when they're not normally keen usually means something's up. So I
thought there was a potential that the reason he was keen was because most of his best form comes on softish ground, and I don't know if he wasn't letting himself down on the quicker conditions.
No, I didn't like it. I don't like it when horses get keen for no reason.
Yeah. No love for audience.
No love. No, our audience are pretty good. They're all right. I think they've
got some cheese. And the bloke who said get in the studio. They're not all right. You don't like them.
Yeah, fair enough. Although our audience do pretty much think that this is a terrible group too. But yeah, audience is one of those horses that you get the feeling that will always run the same race and not get any love whatsoever.
I must admit, I'm not enamoured by him. I don't know whether it's the hood or the way he races. I just feel like I can't trust him.
Yeah, he's fine. He's clearly very. I think we'd all love to own a horse rated 116 like audience, but in terms of getting excited about him winning this race, I don't know. Maybe people at home disagree. Maybe David Stevens disagrees. It's could be a fiddly little race, this, David. Like I said, Spycatcher 6-4. None of us really want to take the favourite on. But we're all kind of scratching around looking for alternatives.
Yeah, I'm in exactly the same boat. When I first looked at it, I thought Spycatcher was a favourite I wanted to take on. But then you start to look at them, audience, I don't think wants soft ground. Jumbie, I think similar comments apply for him. Biggles, was a 16-1 shot at the start of the week. Was well back, sort of. Obviously, people at that stage knew he was an intended runner in what was going to be a small field, but he is stepping up from handicap class. It all just keeps coming back to Spycatcher. He's got form on soft ground, second in the Group 1, albeit you can pick holes in it. But I just think, I'm with everyone else on this. I think at the price boost, 15-8, it's very fair. And even without that, he is just the most likely winner of what is not a particularly deep-looking race.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Stevens. Spycatcher 6-4 then, 15-8 out from 6-4 for the next half an hour or so. As for the others, Adam says this is when an email banker Kim Ross to be running in, and then we could just get on with it. Paul McCarthy. It'd be great if Paul McCartney was watching, wouldn't it? I feel like our audience is great. Paul McCartney having a little nibble on the St Ledger card.
You're not going to belt out a song? No?
No, I think I'll just let it be, actually. I'll just move on.
Wait, for me to say something there, Ross, I thought it was quite a good one, so I thought I didn't want to get, It
was all right, wasn't it? It was all right. Biggles 4-1. Paul McCarthy says Biggles. So he's all over Biggles there. So that's the Park Stakes, a race we all have very, very strong opinions on. And Maddy, your not particularly strong opinion is?
Spycatcher.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Tom?
I think I might chance Sandrine. She wasn't far behind Kinross last time. That was a much better effort, and she won't mind soft ground.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I think Spycatcher will probably win. There is part of me that does think Biggles is half decent, and he does have course form behind Baradar in softish ground. But like you said, Tom, I get the feeling he might go. If he settles, he's got a big chance, but I wouldn't want to play him before they jump off. David?
I think everyone is speaking words of wisdom. Spycatcher.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Right then, let's move on to the St Ledger, shall we? Before we get dragged into that, there's plenty of time after this because I'm not sure we're going to have too many strong opinions in the last 3 races either. So get your Beatles puns ready. A social poll then. The St Ledger Stakes this year. Who's going to win it? 24% of you think Arrest, 39% of you think Continuous, Gregory 16%, and 21% of you think any other outside of those front 3. But it is 3-1 Continuous, 7-2 Arrest, 9-2 Gregory, Desert Hero 11-2, Middle Earth 15-2, Tower of London 10-1, Chess Piece is 11s, Alexandropolis is 28-1. And Denmark is the, I think, 50-1 outsider of the bunch. So 9 of them line up. Obviously, like I said, we've got the right horses, haven't we? We've got Continuous coming from York. We've got Arrest winning at Newbury. Gregory, we'll talk about that ride in a second at York. Desert Hero, Royal Ascot and Glorious Goodwood winner. We've got the Melrose winner stepping up in grade as well. Tower of London was the so-called Ballydoyle St Ledger horse earlier on in the season and is now a 10-1 shot. Chess Piece has been in cracking nick all year as well since that win at York earlier on as well. So it is a really, really strong renewal of the St Leger. Are we expecting, given there's 3 Ballydor horses outside of Continuous and he relished that strong pace, are we expecting an old-fashioned barnstorming pace-making duel up front?
I have some epic insight for you on this.
Oh, love it.
Before I came into the studio, I rang Danny Tudhope to talk about his double at Sandown, and I said, oh, you're on the Rogue Denmark for Aidan O'Brien tomorrow. And he said, yeah, it's my second ride for Ballydoyle. The first one was during COVID when he picked up a ride for them at Royal Ascot when I don't think jockeys could come over. And I said, so are you going to be on pacemaking duties? And he said, I have absolutely no idea, Maddy.
Right,
he
that's
said,
the insight we were waiting for.
I'll find out when I'm in the parade ring tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, sorry not to be of more help, Ross, but
No, I honestly thought you were going to set us up with really with valuable insight then.
It certainly looks that way, doesn't it? Alexandroupolis, Tower London, you'd think Denmark would maybe be pushed forward, but he's quirky. He's a tricky horse, so maybe he's not the one to lead with, but I'm sure they won't be not putting him to good use, put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously this Chess Piece who's already pretty much a confirmed front runner, and it'd be interesting to see what happens with Gregory, because I think we all agreed that the fractions were slightly off. Frankie, I mean, he learned very quickly as he got him spot on with Mostadaf a race later, but Kieran Schumacher gets the ride on Gregory.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's picked the wrong one. I thought Gregory lost very little in defeat last time. I think that form could look different this time tomorrow.
Do you feel like it's going to have to basically replicate exactly as it did at York? They're going to have to go scorching pace for it to be franked in the same.
You have to remember
order.
This is an extra 2 furlongs, and if the ground is riding a bit tacky as well, I think Gregory's the sort of horse who needs to build on a pace, and I think simply they just went too quickly last time. But you could see in the closing stages he was rallying again, which just shows he's got great attitude and he's not one for a turn of foot. Whereas Continuous, I mean, if you watch that race in isolation, you think this is clearly a breakdown in pace. And Continuous apparently looked like he would really come on for the race beforehand. So how much was the advantage by it and how much will he come on? Those are the questions that need to be asked. But I think for me, if the ground does quicken up a little bit, I don't think that will be in Arrest's favour. I thought that was a very good ride last time out. He's a horse who can look a little bit awkward at various stages of races. We saw it at Epsom, even when we saw him at Chester at the start of the season. That was on bottomless ground. He loved that. But I'm just not sure whether there will be something in here that can outclass him, given that he won't be able to dictate the same way on... Yes, it might be a bit tacky, but it's not going to be bottomless.
He's not beat a lot. That's the main thing for Arrest, isn't it? He's clearly a very good soft ground horse, but Adelaide River, Qingxi, it's fine, isn't it? It's fine form, but it's not fantastic. But you at the top of the show, you were waxing lyrical about Desert Hero, and do you think he's not getting the credit he deserves because he keeps getting up by the skin of his teeth?
No, I think you can upgrade pretty much both of his last 2 wins. At Royal Ascot, the passage he got was absolutely dire, and you wouldn't have held it against him if he would have shirked a battle or just come second. He had brave horses battling him all the way to the line there. And then last time at Goodwood, that ground was pretty disastrous, and it wasn't that he was going to be unlucky or anything, but he had his momentum stopped. And I think in soft ground, that is very different to on fast ground. And he just won easily in the end. I think Chess Piece is very solid. And, on form, people have probably argued, well, the betting tells you that the Great Voltager is the stronger piece of form. But for me, Desert Hero, almost every time he's run, you've looked and you've thought that's a horse that can do better. He can do better. Obviously, slight question mark about the trip. This will be his first time at a mile 6, but he's related to Dartmouth, who stayed all day. I like the way he's been produced for this race. I often think in the St Leger, you want a horse who has been planned out nicely for it. And I don't think he's been raced as if, this will be an issue for him.
No, it's a very nice step-by-step progression.
Yes, exactly.
So, and he's come through it with flying colours. So, Desert Hero. But I mean, you say about the trip, Tom, but I mean, he's from the family of mile and a half, mile 6, 2 mile horses. Desert Hero. I mean, I mean, if Desert Hero doesn't stay, then something's gone wrong, I think, visually, pedigree-wise, everything. But again, tactics are going to be fascinating. And are there any pieces of form in here that you're dubious about? And is there a clear selection for you?
Sure. Yeah, I'm not. Well, I don't think Arrest Newbury form allows him to be anywhere near the front of the market. I thought that was a really rubbish race, and the filly who he beat by a couple of lengths got beaten a lot further in the Park Hill earlier in the week. So I get that he might like the ground, and I get that he will have been. I mean, the Gosdens are the best at getting horses spot on for races, and I see that he's the Newmarket nap, and lots of things going on about him that suggest he's going to run a career best here. But I'm not convinced by him. Continuous, I'm worried about whether he'll stay the trip, which is why I'm not sure any of those Godolphin O'Brien horses will go on. I know after the Voltager, Ryan Moore said, I'm not sure he wants to go a mile and 6, and he would have no problem going back to a mile and 2. So that would slightly worry me about the tactics, because I'm not sure any of them will go on. I think Chess Piece and Gregory will be the pace in the race. I think they'll ride the other 3 just sort of as in case something happens to Continuous. What do you do with 3 staying horses? You know, you've got so many horses at Ballydoyle, we might as well run them. Not sure they'll sacrifice any of them myself. So I think Gregory and Chess Piece will be the pace. I think my personal slight preference is for Gregory, simply because I think he'll like the ground. Everyone seems to tell me he won't like the ground. All his family seem to like it. Cape Cross didn't mind it. Not Cape Cross, his sire Golden Horn didn't mind it. I thought he was very impressive in the Queen's Vase. The way he was going on at the line, I think he's got more upside than anything in the race. He's only run 3 or 4 times.
So you think Frankie's chosen wrong as well, Tom? You're not that keen on Arrest?
Look, they know more about them than me, wouldn't they? I mean, they sit on them every day. Personally, from my perspective, sitting on the outside, I prefer Gregory as a horse to Arrest. And therefore, at the prices, that's the one I would go for. But I'm not going to sit here and say they don't know what they're doing. Of course I'm not. But I don't know. I thought Continuous was the obvious one, but I'm slightly worried about him staying. Middle Earth, I think, has got to make a big step forward.
Yeah, I looked at the Melrose at the time and I thought, this is pretty good. We might get a nice winner out of it. He was very impressive, but how many horses have come out and let that form down over the past week? I mean, obviously the GOAT today, but there's been 5, I think, have run pretty badly out of it. So obviously Nakib, that race the other day that Nakib won, there was 3 of them in there that were well beaten. Yeah,
a history of sort of thinking that Melrose horses are going to be good enough to take the step up from Handicap Company in the St. Ledger, and they never do. So I'd be slightly worried. I think he'll drift.
I think Chess Piece would be a good each way bet. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he's solid.
I think he's overpriced.
Yeah, I think if you want one that's going to really run his race, I think he is it. And potentially 11-1 there on the show. If you drifted out a few more points, I could see the angle there.
It's just that, again, tactics are good because you've got the Ballydoyle battalions in here, and you've also got Gregory who...
They're not that good, though, are they?
No, but it's more that the last thing I want to see is a horse trying to make all mile 6 in soft ground at Doncaster. It's just it's hard to get the fractions right. They just seem to turn into the home straight, and it's a long way home.
Yeah.
So again, it's one of those races, Tom. After a furlong, I'm going to go, I wasn't necessarily expecting it to unfold like this.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Ross, and history tells you that it's quite hard to make all at Doncaster, but I don't believe in all that stuff. If you're good enough, you're good enough. If you're 1 length in front of something, it shouldn't really make much difference, at the end of the day, turning in for home. But I get it makes where I think you're right is it makes it difficult for the jockey because it's such a long straight. You don't know when to go for home. Often on those long straight tracks, they go home. We see at Ascot on the straight track all the time. They kick for home way too soon. But if you have no pace, if you have no pressure up front, and it's possible that Chess Piece doesn't get that, although I think Gregory will go forward as well, then yes, I'd agree. He is a very good each way bet. I was quite interested in Tower of London as well, but I just didn't really like his preparation. I don't know what he's been doing since...
Isn't he the horse that they've really wanted to go for the Melbourne Cup with?
Well...
And if you think... Is this the preparation you want for a Melbourne Cup? Is this really, what you would do if you had a choice? I'm not sure.
No, I wouldn't. I'd be running him. I'd be getting him streetwise if he was going to go for the Melbourne Cup, not missing all of the summer out. I think there's probably been an issue myself along the line somewhere, because I think there's so many of those Group 3s in Ireland he could have run in. That would be my doubt about him. So I'm into preparation. I think Arrest has probably had a very good preparation. I think he's going to leave that form at Newbury a long way behind, but still a little bit confused by him. So I ended up on Gregory, but I do think Desert Hero has a chance. Continuous obviously has a big chance. I'm not convinced about all the others really.
Okay, yeah, right, yeah, should be interesting. Yeah, I think, like I said, it's just that minus. I mean, obviously we saw Sumo Sam do it earlier on in the week, but I do think that she's a bit of a soft ground freak, and I think if you could run her at that pace over 3 miles, and she'd just keep going and going if the ground was soft enough. But yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Maddy and Cheese. Really, I do think. Sorry, it's ridiculous to say it out loud, isn't it? Yeah, Desert Hero again. I do think, in particular, the way he battled back at Ascot, and last time out, it didn't go to plan. He weaved a passage through, and he was probably better for the margin. I think he'll absolutely relish that long straight at Doncaster, and I think he'll be eating up the ground. He's got the stamina. He's proven in the ground, and he comes into it off the back of a win as well. So he's got more to come. So yeah, I think I'm in with Desert Hero. What about you, David Stevens? Final classic of the season.
Yeah, really intriguing race. There's no standout candidate, which is why they've rolled the dice with Middle Earth, of course, after his Melrose win. I think just going back to Arrest, and I don't know this for certain, but I'm guessing the forecast earlier in the week probably played a part in Frankie Dettori's decision making. It looked at one point there's going to be a lot of rain. That just simply hasn't materialised. How often has that been the case? So who knows if Frankie could, go back to Thursday's declaration times? Would he stick with Gregory? Don't know. There's lots of potential stories. I mentioned at the top of the show, obviously the King and Queen owning Desert Hero. He has been laid out for this, or not laid out for this. Has been his target since Goodwood. Kieran Schumacher riding a classic winner would be a great story. Probably, I fear it might just be quite boring, and this is absolutely nothing against Connections. I can see Continuous winning. Once again, Ryan Moore, absolutely the right man to judge it, get the fractions right. I don't like Arrest. I'm with Tom. I don't think Ching Shi did anything for the form at all of that Newbury win, and that's without the ground, actually, that isn't going to be as soft as I think perhaps we thought it might have been earlier in the week. And I do like Tower of London as an each way. He's a brother to Capri, who won this race 6 years ago, so he's bred for the job. He should have won the Bahrain Trophy. He just found trouble after trouble, and then Ryan dropped his whip, and he was still only beaten a head or a neck there. I don't know if something has gone wrong while we haven't seen him since, but it's a nice spare for Jim Crowley to pick up. He's only ever ridden once for Aidan before, and that was Zabriskie in this race. That finished stone last, so he hasn't got to do much better to do better than that. So, yeah, I just fear it could be Aidan O'Brien, the Ballydor winning machine once again with Continuous. But it's a fascinating, intriguing race, one I'm really looking forward to.
Okay, so Continuous to win in boring fashion, says David Stevens for this year's St Ledger. If you are watching live, or if you're watching recorded, just if you watch it basically, and you want to give us a like, you should do so. And if you don't want to give us a like, you can still give us a like as well. So basically, what I'm saying is press the like button. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. What do you like in the 2023 St Ledger Maddy Playle?
Desert Hero, a royal winner, I think could be on the cards.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, Desert Hero for me as well. What about you, Tom?
Gregory.
It is. And David?
I should have just mentioned, sorry, we have a John and Thady Gosden special. They've got 3 runners. Can they have a 1-2 with any of their 3? That is 7-2 from 11-4. As I say, I'm going to stick with Continuous.
Okay, Continuous it is. As for everyone at home, what have we got? About Desert Hero after we win at Ascot 20-1, says John Lewis. I've been toying with having a saver, we don't know which one. Just ride it out, John. 20-1 anti-post, lovely stuff, cracking bet. As for the rest, Gregory to win by a neck. Rather than a peck, I imagine. Happy Harry. Chess piece, Stephen McCulloch. Chess piece for Richard Long. Chess piece for Chris Meister 77. Chess piece for Jaws Isaac. Okay. All of the chess piece fans are coming out. And Duncan Evans, Desert Hero for me.
Do we think it's interesting that James Doyle retains the partnership with Chess piece? William Buick's off to Woodbine to ride Master of the Seas in the Woodbine Mile. Is that a non-talking point that James Doyle's still on Chess piece?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Let's move on.
I hear Woodbine's lovely this time of year. Maybe that's why he's gone. So there you go. 3 races to close out the St Ledger card tomorrow. Then we've got a 10 furlong handicap. La Yakel is 15-8 favourite. Aku Najla is 5-2. Symbol of Light 4-1. 9-2 Simply Sondheim. 10-1 Lightning Company and 12-1 Masakela, the outsider of the bunch. Only the 6 runners. Bonus for anyone getting Scrabble points for the first 2 in the betting. But apart from that, not a great deal else to get overly excited about, unless you've been following La Yakel off a cliff, which Maddy might well have been doing all season. But I'll come to you first for this one, Tom Segal. Just the 6 runners, quite a few horses who, quite frankly, have had pretty frustrating seasons. That said, La Yakel's form looks a little bit better after one for the gutter runner blinder today at Donny.
Yeah, it was a bit of a dodgy old race at Donny today, wasn't it? I don't know. I don't think that is the boost for him. He's been really disappointing. I thought he was going to be a proper group horse when he won at Ascot last year, when he came from sort of looped the whole field and came whipping round and won that race there. He's been really disappointing for me twice, but this is by far. I mean, there's a lot of disappointing horses in here, aren't they? Aku Najla cost he cost millions, didn't he? But he's been disappointing, and he's up in trip here. Symbol of Light only seems to run on the all-weather. Masakila's gone from, looking like a Derby horse to just running no races at all. Lightning Company's been over hurdles, and I don't know what Simply Sondheim's been doing. But I think he might be the one, funnily enough. I just thought there was reason to look. La Yakel, if he's back to the Ascot form, would win this without coming off the bridle, in my opinion. But he hasn't shown that form twice. He hasn't shown that same sort of sparkle since. Aku Najla's stepping up in trip. Not sure about him. So I just thought George Bowie's in incredibly good form. He's booked Ryan Moore. Won't mind the ground Simply Sondheim. Thought he might be the one just by a process of elimination, really, than thinking he's a very well handicapped horse or he's got anything much in the hand of the handicapper. So I'll end up on him. But look, if La Yakel's back to that Ascot form, he'll win this.
Okay, La Yakel 15-8. Simply Sondheim is a 9-2 shot. Maddy, are you giving La Yakel another chance?
I think I'm going to have to, purely because I don't fancy anything else in the race. And as Tom says, that Ascot form from last year, I mean, that's why I've been following him off a cliff ever since. And if I am scraping the barrel for excuses for the Segal Cup run, I don't necessarily think Jamarero is the right jockey for him. Not saying he did a bad job or anything, but this is a horse who probably needs a different kind of ride to the one he got at Ascot. Kind of worrying that he was looking down mid-race, though, to see if there was anything wrong with him. But it wasn't a bad effort, even still. And I just can't get away from him. I just think, on pure ability and pure talent, I'll be hoping he drifts out a bit. But 15-8, I think, on balance, I don't fancy anything else, Ross.
Yeah, fair enough. This is, the weakest kind of race he has contested. 15-8 then, La Yakel. 5-2 Aku Najla. Just the 2.7 million guineas for Aku Najla. David Stevens here off 96 in the sort of undercard at Doncaster. Money well spent.
They've had plenty of time for a bit of buyer's remorse on that transaction, haven't they? I'm in agreement with Tom here. I mean, it is a race you can pick holes in all of them, easier than picking a winner. But Simply Sondheim was a bit of a winning machine last year. A pretty rare bad performance for him back in May. We haven't seen him since then, but as Tom said, the George Bowie stringer in great form now. Ryan Moore rides 9-2. There's enough juice in that price for me, as I say, in what looks a pretty tricky race.
Lovely stuff. So David and Tom with Simply Sondheim. Then could you maybe combine for a duet of I Want to Be in America, perhaps, or one of
we could do, but I don't think we're going to.
One of the Stephen Sondheim's other big hits, such as.
Don't look at me.
Fair enough.
Never
one of my favourites, that one.
Yeah, not that much crossover, is there? With apart from the owner of Simply Sondheim, potentially with musical theatre and horse racing. Masakela have been grazing the grass this season, says Tommy Daniels. Symbol of Light, ex-Godolphin horse. You were just about to say, I know.
What?
I thought you were just about to mention Andrew Lloyd Webber, but you're not. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say Symbol of Light is interesting. Fourth in that really muddling race at Newcastle last time. Godolphin cast off with Julie Camacho, but he's got to give weight to La Yakel.
Yeah. Okie doke. 2 more races to go then at Donny. We've got a maiden over a mile with 25 grand on the table to the winner, and because of that, it's attracted quite a field. Dear a Mile is 9-4. God's Window 11-4. Bellum Justum 13-2. Let's Get 'em 7-1 with At Vimiero and Red Hot Whisper 11-1. Otto Flash 16-1. Bar those. Not too much time to go through these last 2 at Doncaster, which I think might well be a blessing in disguise, Maddy. But just a quick word on the maiden, which I think is probably going to throw up a nice horse, because this looks like a nice field, and obviously Israel won this last year. What did you make of this lot?
Yeah, the ones that had run have put in some eye-catching performances, suggesting that they would progress from it. The one I was interested in at the price is their 7-1 to see At Vimero. Really nice pedigree, 650,000 guineas as a yearling. Jane Chapel-Hyam, she's great with her juveniles. They always seem to outrun their odds. This is a horse by See the Stars out of a Nathaniel mare, so you'd expect we'll stay all day and we'll like these conditions. I think he's a very interesting newcomer, but it's hard to know where to stand on them. He's obviously going to have to be pretty good to beat horses with form that have already shown their hand.
Okay. It was Israel 2 years ago, by the way. I did look at that and think, Israel, I'm sure he's 4 years old this year, but it wasn't run last year. Tom?
Well, I think it's quite a good maiden, isn't it? Always is. Donny Maiden's always good in this meeting. Interesting to see the Gosden newcomer so short in the market. And I looked at this race earlier in the day because I was doing such a lot of preparation, especially on this race. And he wasn't 11-4, that's for sure. He was about 5-1. So there's obviously some word going around about God's Window by Dubar. We shouldn't mind the ground. Dear Amal, obviously, I'm not sure he sets the standard. I thought at the prices, Red Hot Whisper might go well. I know he's trained by Ben Brookhouse, and he's not, we didn't really regard him as a 2-year-old trainer, but I thought he ran really well at Leicester, and he's by Too Darn Hot, and I'm a massive Too Darn Hot fan, as we've seen with Darnation and Fallen Angel in the last week.
Okay, there you go. Red Hot Whisper at 7-1. David Stevens?
Well, we've had 2 of the 3 7-1 shots tipped. I'm going to tip the third of that trio. Let's Get 'em. Second on his debut, that was on very different ground, but a son of Wood and Bassett, he shouldn't mind the soft ground, and he should appreciate a step up to a mile as well. For Paul and Ollie Cole, whose string have hit a little bit of form recently, so I'll go for the one with form. Let's Get 'em.
Okay, lovely stuff. And I think it's one of those things where you look at it, I don't think he'll win, but at the price I might have to have a nibble, and that's Stratocracy, who I thought a Newmarket race at J.O. Raeburn last time out was a very, very good one, and he is bred to appreciate conditions. But it'll probably be an eye-catching third run and a handicap next time out. Closing out the Doncaster card then is a really good mile handicap. Again, another 25 grand on the table for this. But Sonny Liston 3-1, Liberty Lane 9-2, Millbosk 11-2, Empire State of Mind 8-1, The Gatekeeper 17-2, Dutch Decoy 9-1 with Spirit Catcher 10-1, and bigger the rest. It's the Spring Mile, it's the Lincoln, it's the Golden Mile, it's copy and paste all these big mile and handicaps this year. Maddy, but whose turn is it this time?
I think it could be Brunch's turn. Step in the right direction last time is down to a really competitive mark now. 99 was running off 104, 105, whatever it was, not so long ago. I think he's got a lot in his favour. He's just one of those horses who needs things to fall right, and when he does hit a right path of form, he tends to go on and go well. It is competitive. The other one I'd give a mention to is La Trinidad, who tends to love these sort of stamina testing courses, travels very well, can be a bit keen, but tends to look an eye catcher. He's off 93. He can be involved, but I think Brunch was a good few points too big.
Yeah, okay. Brunch is a proper Donny horse. So a late Brunch at 5.20 for Maddy. What about you, Mr. Segal?
Sonny Liston's obviously the form horse. All those runs in big handicaps. Really needs a really strong pace. I think Doncaster might suit him. Not sure about the ground for him. Millbosch is a real old, I don't know what they're doing with him. They obviously don't know what they're doing. They had him in mile and a half race. Now he's back to a mile, so he could bounce back. One I liked was Empire State of Mind. Just thought, second in the race last year. John Quinn's horses are flying. Absolutely fine. I think definitely had a winner at Chester today. And I just think he liked the ground. Everything's right for him. Very well back to Ascot last time when third to Perotto. Wasn't beaten very far at all. Ground would suit him much better here, as will the straight track. So Empire State of Mind for me.
Okay, Empire State of Mind, yeah, another Donny horse in soft ground. I thought the Gatekeeper was a bit overpriced, if I'm honest. I know he only got the Goodwood race in the stewards room last time out, but he's run some cracking races this year on soft ground. He was a bit of an eye-catching fifth earlier on in the year in very heavy ground at the Lincoln meeting as well. And yeah, I thought he'd be hard to kick out of the frame at 17-2. David Stevens, close us out, please.
We got 4 places each way in this finale. I'm with you on the Gatekeeper, and I'll also stick in the other Charlie Johnston runner, Dutch Decoy as well, both with form on soft ground, which I say it'll be tacky tomorrow if not soft. So the Johnston pair for me in this finale.
Okay, there you go. Sonny Liston, 3-1 favourite for the closing race on to tomorrow's card. Quick shout out for a few selections. Shez 1-4 is going with Dutch Decoy. Cheese, the Gatekeeper, wins easily. Am I Cheese? Is this a Fight Club scenario? I don't know. This is very strange. I agree with everything he's saying. Destiny Sounds, Spirit Catcher looks good, and Sonny Liston will have them on the ropes from Tommy Daniels, brother of Paul. Let's get the naps then on St Leger Day at Doncaster. Starting off with you, Maddy.
Yeah, it's a tough start to this. In the no debut, I'm going to go with the big race. If in doubt, just go all in. We'll go 3.35, Desert Hero to win the St Leger.
Love it. Desert Hero it is. What about you, Tom?
Empire State of Mind in the last race for me, Ross.
Okay, there you go. I didn't think anyone would go in the last race, but he has. David Stevens?
Boring for me, but Spycatcher in the Park Stakes.
Okay, lovely stuff. A boring selection. Nothing boring about the shirt or the curtains, though, so you're more than made up for it. And I think Empire State of Mind might well have a big chance, but I'll go with the Gatekeeper to close us out tomorrow in that 5:20. That's it for our Leger preview then. I hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow at Doncaster. If you're going or you're watching, if you're watching it right now and you haven't liked it, like the stream. And we'll be back. We've got plenty of Friday nights over the autumn and the winter, of course. As it starts to get a little bit colder and a little bit darker, the Saturdays get very good indeed. It's a good night from us, and enjoy Donny tomorrow.